Bonjour, everyone. We are here again, and you know this is my best time of the week. This is my best video of the week, where we do 6 of the best of the comic releases this week. Going to be slightly different this week, though. Yeah, that was totally unexpected, wasn't it? Because this was a really exceptional week of good books, and normally I've got my 6 books ready from just taking the general, unless there's a new issue one out that I've got to read. It will be generally, I've got, you know what I mean, I've got a rough idea. What I'm going to do this week, I'm going to do 5 of the very best, because I've got another 5. Well, I've got another 4 also rans, and one which we'll get to, which you'll know about when we get to it. So my little intro holding the covers up is going to be a little bit longer than usual, because I'm going to do the 5 I'm going to do a deep dive on. We are going to look at them in a little bit more detail, but I'm going to just briefly go through another 5 books. There's 10 great books this week. There was, and these aren't even also rans. I was just going to say I've got some also rans, but we can't. Otherwise, I'm going to just go through every book I bought this week, which would be ridiculous. Before I get going properly, again, I'm thanking everyone who is viewing my videos, especially if you're liking them, of course. Like them, please press that like button for me, and give me a little comment. The algorithm does pick all that up, and it really helps me grow the channel, understand what you want more of or less of. On that subject, let me know if this format suits you more. If you would prefer me to do less deep dive and perhaps more holding the covers up and just having a general chat, let me know. Just let me know in the comments. And especially you nutters, nearly 20,000 of you nutters, beautiful nutters that are subscribing to my channel. Love you all. Thank you very, very much for that. So let's get going. A new issue 1. Look at this, old Blade's back. New issue 1, and it's like getting back to basics. I love it. It's what you expect. A little bit of a kind of cinematic look, which I don't mind. We can't have him with the afro and the shades from the 70s, the character I grew up with, can we? But that's a great issue 1. Nice jumping on point. Doesn't fart around, and it gets on with it. So from an issue 1, this has been consistently. This has been a consistently excellent read if you love your superhero stuff. If you're a DC fan as well, which I'm not heavy. I'm appreciating them more. But you must be loving this book if you've been a lifelong DC fan, because Mark Waid is nailing that, and I've really enjoyed that. This is issue 17. It's the last issue of the story arc, so I just wanted to put that in to recommend it as a graphic novel for those of you who might not want the individual copies. This is basically just Justice League Dark. Why they put Wonder Woman on it and didn't have anything? No, there's nothing on the cover to let you know that this is Justice League Dark. And these Night Terror books, the ones I've been picking up them all. They have been good, consistently good, and we'll go through why I think they have been consistently good when we do a little deep dive. Void Rivals issue 2. Now, I know I did issue 1. Some of these Image books, and especially when they're science fiction, they do deserve to be shouted about. Not that old Kirkman needs my help, really, does he, to shout about his books? Issue 1 of that went to second printing very, very fast. And 6 months later, we get issue 2 of A Vicious Circle. Gloriously, wonderfully mad and beautiful. Yeah. No, I'm not going to go there, to be fair. I was going to say wonderfully mad and beautiful, but I'm not. Let's carry on. Right, so I'm saying also rans, but this, like I say, these Night Terror books, I've really been enjoying. This one particularly the artwork. But I think Punchline is one of those characters that it, it's endearing to good artists. I don't know if that's the right word I want. It's conducive to good artwork, the design of the character. And her and Batgirl go at it in the Nightmare realm. And they've done it just in a really interesting way. Now, you know I can't leave this alone. That's what she said. So, Darkwing Duck, this is the first issue of the new storyline. So, Duck fans, jump on at issue 7 if you want. If you can't get all those first 6 issues, you want to get the graphic novel of that, then this is good jumping on point. It's just consistent. I find it consistently of a consistent quality of what you expect from a book of that stature. And the same can be said of this. I've been really enjoying this book. And again, this is just a little one shot. The story so far, this is issue 4. Now, the story so far, all by the same team, and great work. Some of Kev Walker's best work. He's just a great artist. Little one shot. They've kind of been little self-contained. They're linked by groupful, but they're little self-contained stories which I have really been enjoying. And that one this month is mainly to do with Rocket, in a little kind of almost like a little Wild West story. I mean, hence the cover. I mean, you could have guessed that from the cover. I think that's a great cover. Issue 1 of, I'm assuming, a mini-series. Should have researched that before I put it up, really, shouldn't I? But a nice issue 1, I'm assuming, because they've titled it, very intriguing, nicely intriguing storyline from issue 1. Again, they get on with it, and they get on with the character of Moon Knight and the mission, the job, without too much. Because I think sometimes Moon Knight as a character can get bogged down a little bit in nothingness, in like it's too abstract a thing, and he's just standing around in his suit, and it's all blah blah blah. But that not with that one. That's why I've got it in my kind of second batch. Now this one, and I'm going to put it in with a deep dive, because this book, issue 3. I don't look beautiful glossy cover. Look, there's glare that I can't not get a glare from. Look, it's a beautiful. I think I said it about issue 2 and maybe even issue 1. Yeah, I haven't got a clue what's going on, but it's beautiful. It's as mad as a bag of frogs, a bit like the Peach Momoko stuff. I picked up some Peach Momoko back issues from my good friend Paul at Comics and Fantasy, Hornchurch, Essex. So if you're wanting back issues and bits, and always got something on offer, they're always buying collections in. So big shout out to you, Paul. And he had all the Peach Momoko. I know I don't normally do this, but this is what I mean by this stuff. I mean, I'm sure you're all familiar with the Peach Momoko stuff, but I've just kind of caught up with all. I picked up a few of the recent ones. She's got that certain style, and obviously mostly does the variant covers, and she done a story in one of the Darth Vader black, white, and reds. I think it was a Vader one she did. Anyway, my point being, this is a comic that's mad as a bag of frogs, like Peach Momoko stuff. You're kind of looking at the beauty of it, and it does kind of flow, but I don't know how. And this is the same. Got to admit, Frank, if you're listening, mate, get someone to write a cohesive something for you now, and just concentrate on the artwork. In the issue 4 of this, it's announcing in the back page, like, Frank is back and he's on the art duties. Well, do you know what? I'd love to see his artwork in a cohesive storyline, even if it's a one shot. I would love to see that, because this rambling, bloated madness of a storyline at the moment. We're 3 issues in. This is probably one to get in graphic novel, guys. Because I've got to admit, I kind of got halfway through this and thought, do you know what? I'm going to bag and board it, and I'm going to read them all when hand. I don't know how many issues there is in it, 6, I assume. I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to try and read them consistently and see if it kind of makes any more sense and isn't as repetitive. There's a lot of like big double-page spreads, which were all right back in the day as a one-off in the first Ronin, however you pronounce it. But anyway, I've rambled enough. Join me after the scroll for a deep dive, and because I've rambled a bit more pre-scroll, I am going to just do 5 and a little bit of Ronin, just to show you how beautiful the book is, because I know what I've said kind of, I don't know if I've put people off, but I'm not saying don't go near it or it's really crap. I'm just literally describing how it is, and I've bought it and I will continue to do so. But I can't say that I'm quite enjoying it on a level that the main 5 books I've enjoyed. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you're not going to join me after the scroll, are you? So anyway, those of you that are, see you in a bit. Here we go. First comic up, issue 1. We all know who this is, don't we? Impressed by the cover and very impressed by the interior. Nice art style. And, you know, a little bit reminiscent of the opening of the Blade film. And there is nothing wrong with that. I am not saying that in any kind of derogatory manner at all. He's come crashing through this bar's wall with the lights on. Look, there's no explanation for it. We have to know. I love it. We have to know. These lights are obviously disintegrating vampires, or at least burning them. In the case of this one, and we're following this woman's story. She's turned up at the bar. There's a lock-in, and it's all gone wrong. And here he is. Look at this. You know, the booted leg. Here we go. Yes, this is the Blade we want. You know, we don't want him. Did we really want to see him in the Avengers? No, we didn't. We want him giving serious glances over the top of his shades, looking cool with his samurai swords and chopping the heads off of vampires. That's what we want to see him do. And like I say, very slick, nice, modern, a nicely modern art style. If you're going to pick up by Elena Casagrande, as always, Geordie Belair on the colours. He's always going to deliver everything you need, from the headlights to the darker moments. Brian Hill, I don't know what he's done before, so forgive me for that. But Blade's got a mission now from the Lycans, so that is literally what ensues. The mystery surrounding this woman who was at the bar where he killed all the vampires is linked to the Lycans as well. Mysterious new villain turns up, love it, with a sword. So obviously that sets up some nice action set pieces. Here we go. Nice. It just romped along, and I do so love a comic of this particular genre that isn't heavy on the words, and these are all gobbledygook words from the villain, who's obviously out of sync with time. And I really enjoyed this. A nice reveal at the end to set up the villain. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Look at this stuff. Nice. So that I thoroughly recommend that issue 1. I mean, Legacy issue 29. I mean, I don't know if that's right. I mean, hit me up in the comments if you've worked out how they've worked that out. Is this literally only the 29th comic that Blade has ever had on his own? Obviously, I know he's made appearances and stuff, but I can't believe that. Can't believe that. So from the first issue to the last part of a storyline, Mark Waid and Dan Mora. I have recommended this before, but I just needed to show once again how well Mark Waid tells a superhero story. Dan Mora's artwork I absolutely adore. Another beautiful job on the colouring as well. I have to mention Tamra Bonvillain, and I think I have mentioned her before. Even Steve Wan's on the letters. Everything's great about this because the lettering between the different characters, where you've kind of got a half robotic on the new villain. I just love it, and everyone's in it. But this is what Mark Waid does: Martian Manhunter, Supergirl, Superman, Wonder Woman. Oh, here's Batman and Robin. Look, you can see, can't you? And this has just built up nicely. Look, I told you everyone was in it, didn't I? But it is called The World's Finest, so it's doing exactly what it says on the tin. And look at that for a money shot. And if you're a DC nut, you must be going crazy over this book. That's all I can say. Because I'm really enjoying this book. And I'm not the biggest DC fan. I like the mainstays. I like your Supermans and your Supergirl and Batman, maybe. Not Batman, maybe, but you know what I mean. These are your, this is what you would want. If I can imagine what a DC fan must be really enjoying this. Just great action, a great climax to the storyline. And the reason I'm showing the last, I won't get right to the end because it will reveal too much. But it gives enough time to everyone. And you kind of know that Batman's going to be involved in the taking down of the villain ultimately. It can't all be about Superman's, strength. It's got to be the combination, hasn't it, between them all. That's why it's World's Finest. But it's not JLA. So the artwork, look, the more you look at it, the more. I mean, Dan Moore on a Batman book, I'd love to see. I would really love to see it. Like I say, I don't really want to carry on too much of that, but this was the last part, the climax of this storyline. And if you're not picking it up, start picking up World's Finest. It doesn't say, I thought it might have had that many chapters, but if it's in issue 17, maybe this was 5 chapters, maybe, because somewhere along the line someone's needed an odd amount of issues. But anyway, again, thoroughly recommend it. Now this odd bod, it's got Wonder Woman. I don't particularly appreciate, I love Jay Lee's artwork, but we've got to keep him away from Wonder Woman. I know it's Night Terrors and it's a bit of a twisted tale. He can do the chimps and Hellblazer, all right, can't he? But come on. But it's Joshua Williams on the storytelling duties again, and the thing with this is, I was drawn in by the art style, but what I was more drawn in by was the fact that it was Justice League Dark. There was Hellblazer in it, and as I flicked through this book, on the off of the shelf at Comics and Fantasy in Hornchurch. Hello there, Paul. I thought, if Hellblazer's in it, and also Swamp Thing further along, and Demons having their heads lopped off, then I'm in. But basically, what that gives us is Justice League Dark. Here we go. If all of this lot are in it, then I'm up for it. What these Night Terror books are doing, and like I keep saying, I have been enjoying the ones I show you. I've been enjoying. I can tell you I have been enjoying, but I haven't been picking up every single one. I mean, I picked up the other one I picked up this week was Superman, and it was decent. Don't get me wrong, but what I am enjoying about them is that they're self-contained. They're all. You're not having to pick up every single part. They're basically each individual character's nightmares. So Batman's and Wonder Woman's and Superman's nightmares. I mean, I've done this one last week, Zatanna's nightmares, and how they overcome it. That was one of the better ones, actually. That was one of the better ones. And that's another one I picked up this week, which was also good. Which I didn't know her nightmare is Batgirl, or is in her nightmares. And this is where the kind of art style starts suiting it. Now I know Jay Lee's cover is for me is a little bit below par, to be fair, to sell this book, but this is great stuff. It just suits the surreal, like the otherworldly, the nightmarish realm that we're in. I really did. It's just it was great. And oh god, I've showed you the end, haven't I? Of course she's not dead. This was a weird little thing at the end, which it didn't spoil the book for me. But it seemed that Nubia isn't a favourite of mine. I think it's one of those add-ons in the comic book world, which I'm not going to go there. But where I will go is into outer space with Void Rivals issue 2. And again, it's Kirkman, so nothing more needs to be said. Lorenzo Della Felice on the art and Matias Lopez on the colouring it just makes it, but it where it is a classically set up sci-fi yarn, it had me at hello, to be fair. And I think by now you all know with the science fiction stuff, I just really, when it's a well told tale, I really do love it. And it's about two warring factions of aliens in the future, and one of each of the factions is, the Agorians and the Zertonians. These are the two warring, and obviously the war isn't going well, and they're kind of murdering each other into oblivion. And it's boiled down to these two characters on a meteor, and they're trying to get off it. And again, this will make a wonderful graphic novel. This really will, because obviously Kirkman has considered a beginning, middle, and end. But there has been enough in this issue by issue. This is the bit I love. There's been enough in it issue by issue to give. It's just a decent chapter, which is what There is nothing wrong. This guy turns up, and this guy turns up at the end. So, like I say, beginning, middle, end. You've got a lot of exposition between these two during the comic, but they've got somewhere. But now another obstacle's in their way, which is what I call a decent chapter of a greater story. And that is going to be issue 1 sold out, as reprinted with 2 covers with Transformers on and all the rest of it. And from that, now if this hadn't come out this week, I think this is about 6 months ago this book come out. Issue 1 of this book come out, sorry. And if this hadn't been out this week, Void Rivals would have certainly been the top book. And this is a great story by Matson Tonlin. I'm sorry that this is going to be a little bit, because I don't really want to break the back of the book, so I do apologise that I can't really have everything out flat. But really, it's just to show the art off, isn't it? Lee Bermejo's artwork on this. But having said that, this is a cracking story by Matson Tonlin. An absolutely cracking story. And the fact that, he's talking about an enemy chasing him. So you're turning the page and Bosch, that's the enemy that's been chasing him. And I love that page turn. And I think they did one in the first issue of Page Turn that caught me off guard. Caught me by a pleasant surprise. And this, how cinematic this stuff is, where he's obviously set a trap for this dinosaur, but as he's falling into the trap, he still just manages to pluck the cape off him. That in a film, this is almost like a storyboard for cinema. Because that in a film, look, and the dinosaur's already dead at the bottom of this gorge, and the cloak is still flapping. This is just all classics. Absolutely beautifully written and painted. It's just I can't praise this enough. And it's not a light read. It's not like you're just flicking through the pretty pictures, as pretty as they are, and I know I am flicking through them. But I've got to say, here's another obstacle in his way. He's getting heat he's getting the fire on in the cave, and it's still not, it's still kicking off. And then from there, and I won't show it all because there is a little bit of intrigue. I'll show it up to a point. So he's had to escape all these cave dwelling these rat monster things. And then we are, to coin a phrase, back in the future. And we get revealed to us a bit more of the story and what he used to do in the future. And we are also shown a bit more of this guy, who is his kind of arch enemy, nemesis, in this storyline so far, in the 2 issues of this storyline. And I don't know how many issues of this there's going to be. I hope there's 100, but there won't be. I know that's an exaggeration. Look at that's beautiful stuff, and just enough lettering over it to just enough. All this just enough to keep it in that comic book realm, that sci-fi. Look at that, and it's a time travel yarn between these two, but there's only a certain amount that's been unravelled behind, and they're back in the medieval era now. Love it. And I won't show any more. Oh, go on. I'll just show. Look, this is just in the medieval era. Reminded me a bit of the beginning of Time Cop. I don't know if anyone remembers that film where basically a guy from the future with a machine gun turns up in the Civil War era, and he's stealing gold, and he just uses the machine gun to shoot everyone guarding the gold. And this is a similar setup because obviously, look, we're in medieval times, and they're, challenging someone to a duel. But, he's got the gun, so you know what's going to happen. But I'm not going to show you any more because I want to tease you with this, and I think you have seen enough beautiful artwork. But what I will say is, it is well served by a brilliant story, a great storyline, great script, whatever you want to call it. It's not over wordy, just what it needs to be. Brilliant. And that is my book that is with 100% my book of the week. Nothing, whatever week this came out, was going to blow anything else away. I can't think of a book I've done in the past, since issue 1 come out of this, that would, and what a cover. World War II, medieval times, mysterious figure, our main character, the villain, our main character, and a dinosaur. I mean, come on. And we're not even on cover of the week yet, guys. Wow. We're not even on cover of the week. Which this book certainly isn't going to get cover of the week. What it is going to get, though, just quickly, I'm just going to show you why. Like, what a beautiful book. If you're not buying this yet, and I've got to say, I would, at this point in time, guys, I think I've got to recommend that you get the graphic novel when this is fully completed, because this was a particularly disjointed, repetitive issue. You can just tell. It just wasn't an enjoyable read, even in the madcap way that the first 2 were. But Philip Tan's artwork, and I know it's mad stuff like this, it's not typical Frank Miller, but it just makes for a beautiful double-page spread. And I know each part of this story is another double-page spread, but Philip Tan's artwork is a gorgeous thing to behold, isn't it? Is our main protagonist of the story, but it doesn't really bring anything. It's still a lot of unnecessary. I think half of all this is unnecessary. But what a beautiful experiment. What a brave and bold experimental form of storytelling to give us via Frank Miller, 2 heavyweights, and Philip Tan's artwork, look, which is the only reason I wanted to flick through this, because his artwork is beautiful. It does suit black and white as well, and I know they're going for a bit more of a manga-ish feel, but this is midpoint. You know, he's looking a bit Wolverine there, isn't he? He's looking a bit Weapon X there, mate. You know, this is all great sci-fi stuff that you know I love. But ultimately, at the moment, it's leaving me a little bit cold. It's beautiful to look at, and even now with you, I'm looking at it again. And I've probably flipped through it. I've read this through once and thought, what? Gone through it again and thought, huh? And now I'm going through it with you lot. And I didn't really, you know, this would be classic Frank Miller. With Philip Tan's artwork, I'm not even sure at this point this works. This would have worked a la Frank Miller and Sin City. We know all about the cabs and the cars and all that in Sin City stuff. But I don't know. But it's certainly bold and it's certainly beautiful. But I think this is going to make for a better graphic novel. This isn't even a chapter of anything. Like World's Finest was a great final chapter of storytelling, as well as Blade issue 1 being a great opening chapter of a great bit of storytelling. Void Rivals issue 2, a great second chapter of giving us more character reveal and setting up the little villain at the end. These are chapters. This is a segment of, I don't know what, hopefully a greater whole. Hopefully a greater whole. And I know that sounds like I've really dumped on this book, but I can't with my hand on my heart recommend it at $8. Yeah, $7.99 an issue. How many issues they're going to take to get to the point? I mean, look at it, beautiful cover. So, talking of covers, although this is beautiful Philip Tan artwork, does that sell a comic book in the old-fashioned sense? Oh, there's a sexy angel and a little kid. So maybe there is intrigue aplenty. Intrigue aplenty is certainly going on for this cover. And apologies because it's a bit of a bigger format. So, yeah. Dinosaur, main hero from the first issue. Obviously the villain, look at that. It's got to be because he's in black shiny leather. World War II, medieval knights. There's something going on here. And in oversized format, which you lot know I love. So as far as cover of the week goes, and like you know what we do. We go through the covers as if the publishers needed to sell you a comic book based on the cover, like to make you walk up to the spinner or the shelf and pick it up. A big crowd of vampires around a character called Blade with samurai swords there's a lot going on there. Definitely a lot going on, but not as much going on. I mean, a lot going on to sell the book. I mean, you know, oh, it's vampires, but he's a vampire. You know, say you hadn't ever heard of Blade. He looks cool. He's got 2 samurai swords. He's just chopped people up. There's blood splattered everywhere. These are vampires, and oh, but so is he. So what's going on? But there's not as much going on as this one. Getting everyone in, getting all these characters in. That's gonna melee, and what a little, you know, just a nice little. I mean, come on. 2 of the biggest icons in the world together with melee in the middle. If that's not trying to sell a comic, I don't know what. But this Superman cover, I've got to admit that bearing in mind it's Night Terrors, and you've kind of got this, you know, you've got the claw here with Superman obviously being defeated by this a very, very intriguing cover, got to say. And this is what I mean about this week. There's so much to go through. So sorry, guys, if like there's tons here. What again? If a poncho and a cowboy hat and this scene going on with a furry alien hand on the handle. Now, if this ain't gonna get you in, then I don't know what. I'm gonna put this cover in as well, just because it's Sean Murphy and it's just a great cover, but it isn't going to be one of the best. It's nowhere near the top, but just any excuse to show some Sean Murphy. It's a trap! Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're gonna want to be trapped. Yes, want to be trapped. But no, those two aren't. I had to show those covers just to say it's a twat. Still a lot going on in that one. Not this one. Not even. These are all great covers, but I'm trying to whittle it down here now, guys. I'm trying to whittle it down. And we've got the blade. I think, at this vicious circle, when you've got, like I said, when you've got Nazis, knights, vampires, but do you think World's Finest might be nudging it? Because what that cover says is Batman and Superman are going to get into a fight with all of these. So it's definitely between these two. And in a way, I'm going to allow myself. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to allow myself 2 covers of the week this week, because this is modern age. This is all day long a modern book for a modern audience. This is old school, and there is nothing wrong with that, because I think you lot know, if you've been with me any amount of time, you know I am. But I love both. I love this book. It was in my top 5 this week. You know this is my book of the week, but do you know what? Split decision this week. Controversial, guys. It's a tie this week between for cover of the week. And if you are still here following me with this mega edition of hogTALK, thank you so much. And just one more quick thank you to everyone that is following, liking, subscribing. Love you all, and can't wait to get back in all this stuff that we love next week. So until then, adios.